Welcome back to the Museum Roadshow. Today some of the staff members that worked at the hospital are going to share some of their memories of the sisters that used to manage the hospital.
Hospital that existed at that time, you can still recognize it as a hospital, but there's no rooms in it anymore. But it was staffed primarily by sisters, who most of them were very dedicated. I remember one sister in Essentia, very meek, and very intelligent. She was an X-ray tech and also an RN.
I was running through the list of when I started working, and I think there were 15 nuns that were working here at the time. Not all. Some of them were lab and X-ray in the office and so on, but a lot of them were on the floor, and I thought there isn't a one today, which is sad, you know, but that's the way it is.
It was always interesting. The nuns went to pray. We had to be very good while they were here, and when the nuns were gone to pray, we did have a little fun time. We did take care of our patients and did very well. They all worked 12-hour shifts, and then they would pray from 12 to 3, and that was our time to shine.
I remember when I first started here, some of the sisters were still here when I started, and I remember hearing stories about the sisters in their full garb carrying patients up and down the steps. And I couldn't understand why they were carrying patients up and down the steps when there was this old elevator. But it wasn't until we dug out these old plans and saw that elevator didn't go in 1929. It was planned for in 1929, so they had the foresight. We don't know exactly when that was put in, but I thought it was interesting to hear tales of, you know, how the nuns used to carry patients with their full garb. It just blows my mind to think about how healthcare has changed and how different it was back then.
I was trying to remember the name of the first sister that was the administrator here. For the life of me, I can't remember. I remember Sister Caritas, but she came later.
Oh, Sister Bennett.
Sister Bennett, yeah.
Sister Bennett.
Oh, she could make good sausage.
Oh, it was full of garlic every Christmas.
Oh, but it was good.
Well, if you like garlic. You hear garlic, why the whole family knew it. The sisters, though, I saw some friends. I see just one of the sisters we worked with just died, Marky.
I know, Sister Winifred.
Yeah, Sister Winifred just died, and she wore her habit. I think during all that period of time she was here. Then when she went up to the mount at Crookston, as far as I know.
I can remember bringing our children over at Halloween time, the sisters' house, because they always liked to come because the sisters always had something good for them.
Yeah.
The nuns' home would be where the parking lot is for Dakota Clinic. There was a wooden building there. There was a tunnel that connected the hospital to the sisters' home. They had then farmers who would bring produce and stuff in, I'm sure, to pay their bills and so on. And in the late summer and fall, you could see the nuns sitting out there peeling corn and, you know, cleaning their vegetables and so on that had been brought in and left for them.
This shows the tunnel that we were talking about.
Yeah, I believe this would have been probably the house, the Holmes house is
what Jerry was referring to.
What Jerry was mentioning.
Yep. And this is the 29 and 39 hospital buildings. Yeah. Yes.
And that there was I mean, there's very detailed information here that a tunnel. I mean, that would allow a tunnel to be built between the two.
Yep. So we're guessing then that this plan was drawn in 1939, or this building was built in 1939. This was. So then this tunnel, according to these plans, would have been built about that time. Yep.
And it appears they actually even had things like root cellars and to keep produce in. So it's just.
And when we just built the boiler plant that's going to connect to the new clinic, they uncovered parts of that old tunnel. Yeah. So it was kind of interesting to see history uncovered.
Sister Joanne was the sister that was in the delivery room, or the nursery, I guess I should say. She didn't really like the delivery room, but that was her end of the hall. So the door that you see right behind me used to be the door that went into the delivery room and the nursery. The nursery was right there beside the delivery room. They were in their room, and you would go in and check them periodically to see how much they had dilated. And then when the nurse thought they were ready to go, you took them down to the far end and hoped you were in time. One time we barely made it, but we made it. The husband didn't get anywhere near them until after the baby was born, and they were back in the room.
I had 3 babies when we came to town, but I had my 4th baby in this hospital, and I believe I was down at the end of this hall. This was in 1956, in December of 1956. So I halfway remember it, but the thing that I got the biggest kick out of was when you were talking about how fathers were not allowed to be in the room. Well, the father of my baby happened to be a doctor. He couldn't be in the room. And Susie was born on a Sunday, and he was very busy. He was down at his father's watching a football game, and he said, "Please wait until 5 o'clock when the game will be over." And I think I did. I don't know, but but he wasn't there. I think Dr. Moberg was the one that delivered Susie.
When I first started, Dr. Brink was the only obstetrician that we had. And we had a lot of general practice doctors that delivered babies. At that time we had a labor room. It was a double room, and we observed and took care of the patient in there until she was ready to deliver, and then we took her back to the delivery room. And at that time we had a gown and mask and do everything, and nowadays they don't wear gowns, masks, or anything. So it's quite a change from what it was before.
I had a girlfriend who was due to have her baby. She lived just down the block from us, and she called me one night and she said, "Loretta, I think I'm in labor," and her husband was in the service, was not here. And I said, "Okay, I'll take you down." So I brought her down. Dr. Lorenzen was her doctor, and I brought her up here because I knew this is where she would be. And I can't remember who the nurse was or who was here, but they said, "Well, Loretta, are you going to scrub in?" And I said, "I've got jeans and my old shirt and so on." And they said, "That's okay, we'll put a gown on you anyways." So that's what I did. I helped deliver her baby. You wouldn't do that nowadays. Later, because one of our daughters was in here, but this part was pediatrics at one time. So that changed, I suppose, when the new, in 30, or when was it, when the new part went in 57, 58. Then this became pediatrics, so.